Michael, and thank you so much for joining me on the next episode of Be The Drop. And I see you've brought your item of significance along, which is something that connects you with your community. So I'd love for you to share that story with us.
I have brought a book, and thinking about an item of significance to me, it was always going to be a book, one way or the other. This book is not a great work of literature. It's not even a particularly great book. It's an old-fashioned history of the world in pictures of the kind of Reader's Digest-y type. But it was a book that was given to me by my Year 12 literature teacher. And it was given to him by his Year 12 literature teacher and given to that teacher by his teacher. It's always been not just books, but it's always been teachers. My mum's a teacher. I have aunts and uncles who are teachers, grandparents who are teachers. And the importance of teaching, of education, of everything else has kind of underpinned my value system and the way I spend and devote my life.
Now that we know a little bit about how you're connected to the community here at the Wheeler Centre, can you explain a little bit more about who the community is?
I think the really important thing was that we were created as a literary organisation first and foremost. So the natural impulse is to think that that means a certain kind of bookish crowd. But our art form is public conversation. So that may be on whatever topic you can imagine. It might be architecture tonight, human rights tomorrow night, erotic fiction the night after. That breadth of subject matter is one of the things that makes what we do very exciting. So we do about 250 public events a year, have done since 2010, and the vast majority of them are completely free. About 80% of them each year are free, and the ones we charge for we cap at a very low minimal price. I mean, the idea is that we should be able to be a space that people casually engage with at the centre of their life, their working life, their home life, their kind of weekly routine.
What is it that you think is the central thing that's uniting these disparate groups? You're talking about people that are interested in different speakers, coming from different cultural backgrounds. Is there something that you think is core that unites your community?
We try to make sure that our events, we kind of vaguely think about them as having to satisfy three key criteria. They have to be smart, they have to be passionate, and they have to be entertaining. And the combination of those three things seems crucially important to me. Too often I think in Australia we have this kind of prevalent anti-intellectualism where the idea of smart feels like an exclusive category, and I don't think it is an exclusive category. I think that smartness comes in a range of different ways and people bring their own intelligence and curiosity to all manner of topics. Passion is important because it's not, the point of this isn't a kind of cold heart. We're not a think tank. We're not trying to affect policy change or whatever. We're people talking about things that they care about and that they believe matter and they have personal experience of or personal engagement with. And that passion, I think, breeds a certain authenticity. And the entertainment part is important. It's not a dirty word. You know, if you're coming out for a 1 hour event at the Wheeler Centre or watching it on video or listening to the podcast, you're not doing it because you're taking your medicine. You're not doing it. Self-improvement might be part of why you want to do it, but if you're not enjoying it, if you're not engaged by what you're seeing, if it's not entertaining, then what's the value of it?
What has been the biggest challenge that you have faced in developing the community here for the Wheeler Centre?
It's very hard to make a living as a writer in Australia, for example. 15 years ago, the Australia Council did a study to work out how many people made a living out of their writing of books alone, didn't supplement it with teaching or with journalism or with public speaking or whatever, could make a living off their books alone. Can I guess how many?
No, I don't.
It was 8 in Australia 15 years ago. The number wouldn't have changed dramatically now. Average income for writers is dismally, dismally low. So one of our challenges is how do we make it easier to live and work as a writer in Australia by dint of our existence? And I think we do in lots of ways, but that's something we have to constantly be asking ourselves. How do we connect those writers with readers? How do we help make a relationship that's vitally important but commercially unhealthy more healthy? And so that's a big challenge and an ongoing one.
Thank you so much for joining me, Michael, in our latest episode of Be The Drop. I've absolutely loved hearing about how you're connecting at the Wheeler Centre. I'd love it if we can conclude with you sharing with me Michael's Be The Drop tip. So that's your top communication tip.
start with the low-hanging fruit. Find the thing on which you are smart and passionate and entertaining. It might be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it might be Collingwood Football Club, it might be any number of things, but you will have the thing on which you're an authority. It might be your own family. It might be the wonderful things that your 5-year-old does. There's no need for imposter syndrome if you play to your strengths. So begin by working out the topics on which you're smart, passionate and entertaining, and respect that you are an authority on that and you have a right to be heard. And the way you talk about that thing will be your authentic voice. And then finding ways to apply that to other things as a kind of gradually growing subset of topics on which you talk, I think is not a bad way to go.
Sensational. I love that. Great. Thank you for that little extra
No,
insights
fine.
to your
It's
advice.
fine. I try to apply it to myself.
Good. All right. Thanks so much for your time, Michael. It's been a
Absolute pleasure. Nice to talk.
Great.